Well, the virus has now killed more than 100 people in China, and new cases have been confirmed around the world.
So you don't want to frighten the American public.
France and South Korea have also got evacuation plans.
But you need to prepare for and assume
strongly warning Americans to avoid all non-essential travel to China.
That this is going to be a real serious problem.
France, Australia, Canada, the US, Singapore, Cambodia, Vietnam, the list goes on.
Health officials are investigating more than 100 possible cases in the US.
Germany, a man has contracted the virus.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
Japan, where a bus driver contracted the virus.
Coronavirus has killed more than 100 people there and infected more than 4,500.
We have to prepare for the worst, always, because if you don't and the worst happens...
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
The Democrat camp has been rocked by allegations which may well prove that its candidate Joe Biden has been lying. The New York Post has published damning emails found on an old computer once owned by Biden's troubled son, Hunter. Now, you'll recall that Hunter was earning a king's ransom on the board of a corrupt Ukrainian energy company. His father always maintained he had nothing to do with that company or his son, but an email now proves he did, in fact, meet a senior executive. I caught up with you.
We've been talking about this potential corruption for a while. What is your reaction to what we've learned?
Well, it's very simple. The story is not about Hunter Biden. It's about Joe Biden. Number one, it's about how Joe Biden's lied to the American people. He's lied about this for years. And on the debate stage with President Trump, when President Trump called him out, he lied to the American people again on national TV. The mainstream media, this is how afraid of this story they are. George Stephanopoulos did not want to go near this story last night. It's the biggest story in the world on many levels, on the Biden's corruption, on access to Biden, on Biden's lies, on Biden's relationship with the murderous dictatorship of the Chinese Communist Party, direct financial relationships, also about the FBI and about social media and really mainstream media being a pulling guard for him. The ABC did not want to touch this. So you can tell the mainstream media, social media, they are petrified. This story has stopped any momentum that Joe Biden had. The Biden campaign does not know how to answer it. They've not questioned really the validity of the emails. The New York Post today and actually ran a sympathetic story or empathetic story about Hunter Biden, because the story is not about Hunter Biden. The story is about Joe Biden.
Welcome from Midtown Manhattan and also our nation's capital. It's War Room Pandemic. You're in the War Room. It is the 16th of October. It's Friday, ending another week and about to hurtle into a very contentious weekend as we have, 17 in a wake-up to as 250 flag officers who have signed a petition to support President Trump said is the most important election in the history of this republic. And we're going to see as it intensifies over the next 17, 18 days and then leads into overtime, of which social media, if this is any preamble to what they intend to do, they intend to drive the election to really, quite frankly, a very damaged Joe Biden. This is the biggest story in the world, and it's the biggest story at so many different levels. The signal, not the noise, is that Joe Biden has lied to the American people, that Joe Biden is actually in business and on the payroll of the Chinese Communist Party, and his family has sold access to Joe Biden for many, many years to the Chinese Communist Party. It's the reason Joe Biden takes the Beijing line all the time. It's the reason that when the president shut down travel from China, when the president quarantined people coming back from China, I think it was on the 31st of January, the first 10 days of our show, War Room Pandemic, we were the only people in the world. BBC hadn't started to cover it like us. No one had started to cover this like us, okay? Joe Biden took the Beijing line, called President Trump a nativist, called him a xenophobe, called him a racist, all of it. And you now know why. The relationship goes much deeper than the $1.5 billion private equity fund that Hunter Biden has. This is about Joe Biden. It's about his brother James Biden. It's about access to Biden. Joe Biden right now, with the evidence on this hard drive, and last night Tucker Carlson coming up with additional emails, you're going to see other major media organizations come forward, I think, in the next couple of days with brutal stories about Joe Biden's relationships with the Chinese Communist Party and others. And so this is starting to play out, and people, particularly in working class areas in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, when you want to, places like North Carolina with the textile industry, when you want to find out why all your businesses and industries, whether it was textile, apparel, whether it's all the great manufacturing up in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, when you want to know why it all got shipped by Wall Street to China, understand that the senator from Wilmington, Delaware, the post office box of the global corporations, the senator who was put on the campaign with the fire-breathing anti-war populist Barack Obama, was Joe Biden. It all becomes clear now. Remember, we're the anti-conspiracy theory site. I've told people from day one, it's not a deep state, it's in your grill. Okay? There's no conspiracy, but there's no coincidence. This is the way the system works. And the biggest question, I said this on the John Frederick radio show early this morning after my Maria hit, is that the President of the United States should get Bill Barr and FBI Director Wray into the Oval Office before he leaves for his rally today. And he ought to ask point blank why Wray did not come forward, why the FBI did not come forward immediately in November and December 2019 when they had this hard drive, why they did not come forward immediately and do two things. One, take it to Senator Ron Johnson's committee over on Capitol Hill at the Senate, not give it to Trump. But the other was start to have the media see it so Democratic voters, Bernie Sanders voters, could weigh and measure what this said about Joe Biden, about Joe Biden's corruption with the Chinese Communist Party. Bernie Sanders would have been the nominee. This is the second time the FBI has run interference for the neoliberal, neocon candidate. They did it in 2016 in the Democratic primary. They did it in 2016 with Hillary Clinton. They did it in 2020 with Joe Biden. Remember, the FBI, although they were virulently anti-Trump, didn't make any difference, right? We could blow through that. Okay, we're very honored. We got Ralph Reed from Faith and Freedom later. He's going to be talking about the ground game. It's the most important thing out there right now is you to be working phone banks, you to be knocking on doors, getting people out to vote. This is going to come down, ladies and gentlemen, of what we've been telling you for the last 3 months, low propensity voters. They're low propensity voters for a reason. They're not in the news cycle. They're not in the system. They have different way they want to lead their life. This is the United States of America. You got the freedom to do that. So that's why you got to go knock on a door and go get them to vote. Then you've got to be a poll watcher. And for the John Fredericks Radio Network, a major story coming out of Lynchburg, Virginia, where guess what? Yes, election officials, all Democrats, counting ballots secretly. Then when they get caught, they then flip a couple of people to be independents or register for something else. They were all Democrats. This is going on all around the nation. It's got to be exposed. You have to be an election official. We're also honored to be joined again as co-host in studio, Maggie Vanderberg, known as Fog City Midge, one of the top social media influencers out there in the conservative movement, the Trump movement, Raheem Kassam, Jack Maxey. I want to ask you guys the most, look, as important as the story is of the New York Post, and that story really gets down to going to be involvement with the Chinese Communist Party. There's going to be other stories coming out later. The New York Post alluded to today about all these images and pornography and sex tapes and everything like that. Whether they do it or other institutions do it, that'll all come out. But it's the involvement with the Chinese Communist Party. But even a bigger story is how this is playing out all over the world in Australia, New Zealand, Europe, the United Kingdom, in around Asia, Japan. Everybody's talking about Biden's involvement with the Chinese Communist Party. Social media here is trying to suppress that story. You know why they're trying to suppress it and why George Stephanopoulos at ABC last night will not ask a question about it? They understand this is a candidacy killer, that this puts the bullet into the Biden campaign, because they understand working class people are going to understand, oh my God, he's part of the problem. And right now, it's Joe Biden is a national security issue. Raheem, Fog City Midge, Jack Maxey, where do we stand right now with Twitter, Facebook, Google, all the oligarchs in Silicon Valley that are going to be in play? We said, but Raheem, you called this months ago, starting on election night, even the lead up to it, they're going to be doing a preamble. But if we don't stop this now, if we don't stop this here, Donald Trump's not going to be reelected. Guarantee. Write that down right now. Raheem Kassam, Fog City Midge.
Well, I was reading the Spectator magazine from the United Kingdom yesterday, and I came across an article, Steve, by somebody who was previously involved with Republicans abroad, Republicans overseas. The author's name is Kate Andrews, and Kate said that she's been a Republican all her life and is now voting for Joe Biden, and it got me to thinking about these people, these Republicans in name only, as we've come to know them. Some of these people who go on television and all they can do is talk about, the problems with President Trump's speech or his tweets, or some of the things that he hasn't said that they'd like him to say. And it got me to thinking, especially as regards this social media stuff, we're so very lucky that President Trump did come along, because can you imagine what would have been done? You look at the money going into the conservative movement from big tech, for example. Can you imagine what would have been done surreptitiously without us even recognizing it, to our data sovereignty, to our free speech online, if President Trump wasn't this kind of forcing function that made people recognize what these big tech firms were doing? And he's kind of triggered all of them into being the most heinous and worst versions of themselves. And I think we're very lucky for that. Now what we have to do, and I had Congressman Jim Banks on my 3 p.m. National Pulse show yesterday, and I asked the congressman straight up, I said, look, people are tired of talk. They're tired of letters. They're tired of having Jack Dorsey come to the Hill and not be asked any tough questions. They want action. And we heard yesterday from Jack Posobiec about the kind of actions that should be taken right now, whether it's an injunction against these big tech firms for what they're doing, whether it's an immediate overhaul of the Section 230 protections that these guys enjoy, and so on and so forth. So now we're looking for action. And I got to stress something I said yesterday. It's going to come down to the base again. It's going to come down to the audience again. What are you guys doing out there that will force your representatives to take action? Are you loud enough? Are you calling enough? Are you in their face? Are you protesting outside Facebook's HQ, whether it's in your in Silicon Valley or here in DC or wherever it is? What are you doing?
Maggie, what is Fox City Midge? Give us your perspective.
To me, this entire thing just goes to show how insane big tech has become and how much control they have over what the narrative that they want. Everyone knows what's going on. No matter how they mask it, we all know that this is election interference. People can try to argue the details, but when it comes down to it, the approach that these big tech companies take is always in the interest of the left. And in this case, we're seeing them cover for Joe Biden. Find me any information where they tried to block, Trump's tax information. If what they're claiming is true with this new policy, with things having to be obtained legally, we wouldn't see a ton of these stories that have come out.
What is it? But what is it? Somebody explain the new policy to me. What did they come out this morning? Because before they said hack material, which is a total lie. That's just a story. By the way, New York Post lays it out today. New York Post is run by Rupert Murdoch, got the best lawyers in the world. They understand. Bidens have not questioned They have not questioned the validity of any of the emails, any of the handwritten notes. Right? If the Bidens were to sue them, the countersuit would give them full discovery on everything. That's why the Bidens don't do this. They understand that this is off the kid's hard drive. There's no question about that. So the hack material thing is a total lie.
Well, Steve, also, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to fix the narrative because they're getting hammered around the world. Last night I went through and I looked at all the global newspapers. Now, almost every single one of them was covering it in some aspect, but I would say that 80% of them concentrated on the fact that Twitter was now censoring material from a newspaper. They didn't even go into what was the newspaper story. But I think that the whole world is waking up to the fact of the power that these people have to deny or deliver information depending on whether or not they like it. And this is starting to see pushback here from both the left and the right. I think people are starting to realize that these people have an inordinate amount of control concerning the information that we see. And particularly here, 2.5 weeks from an election, it's quite egregious.
Yeah, Jack Dorsey made an official tweet statement this morning, and he wrote that straight blocking of URLs is wrong, and we updated our policy and enforcement to fix. Our goal is to attempt to add context, and now we have capabilities to do that. So it's like they want to add these new disclaimers on top of any information that comes out. But what's so wild is it wasn't just blocking of the URL.
Go ahead.
It was also they were censoring memes that were made off of these photos and other original content created derived from that.
Sure sounds like a publisher rather than a platform to me. Steve, I know we've got to go to break here. We're going to come back in just a moment with Jack Maxey, Stephen K. Bannon, Maggie, Margaret, Fox City Midge, Vandenberg, whatever you like to be called. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned to get a free pan from Granite Stone. Stuck on eggs, burnt on batter. You can scrub and scrape, but you can't escape the nightmare of your sticky pans. Introducing the Granite Stone Pan, the all-new durable non-stick pan. No butter or oil needed. Watch, we melted down these sticky candies in Granite Stone, and it just doesn't stick. We cooked a half a dozen eggs, bacon, cheese, and tomato breakfast with no butter or oil, and it just doesn't stick. Look, caramels, chocolate, and cheese. Unreal for any other pan, but not for Granite Stone. It just doesn't stick. Granite Stone will be the last pan you'll ever need because it's pressed from a solid aluminum disc for even heat conduction, then coated 3 times with our durable Granite Stone finish. Granite Stone is metal utensil safe and won't scratch. And talk about non-stick. This salmon cooked skin side down with no added butter or oil just doesn't stick. This steak is perfectly seared, just like the pros. And because Granite Stone is oven rated to 500 degrees, we bake this upside down pan pizza to perfection, and it just doesn't stick. Fire Flambe Delicious Cherries Jubilee. Plus, it's PFOA free and 100% dishwasher safe. Call or go online to get your Granite Stone pan for the special TV discount price of just $19.99. Granite Stone is so durable it comes with a 10-year warranty. And with every order, you're going to get a Granite Stone single-serve egg pan absolutely free. It's the perfect size for personalized eggs, omelets, or frittatas that slide right out. It makes the best bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich quick. Yours absolutely free. We'll even ship your entire order free. That's right, free shipping. You get it all, an incredible value. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-850-0237. That's 1-800-850-0237, or order online at buygranitestone.com. That's 1-800-850-0237. Call now.
When severe weather breaks, count on Weather Nation. In-depth coverage throughout the U.S. Your small town to the big city. Before, during, and after the storm. Weather Nation is here to keep you safe. When weather breaks, count on Weather Nation. Your streaming weather network with weather information you can depend on. Weather, it's what we do.
These are our classes, our happy hours, our dates, our birthday parties, our shopping. We're learning new things.
Nice technique with that knife.
And getting in touch with things we left behind. These are our lives now. Come be a part of it online. GoDaddy is making it possible for everyone to create a website for free. Learn more at GoDaddy.com.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
They've done this in Australia. They've done it in the United Kingdom. This is how the Chinese Communist Party works. They've infiltrated Wall Street with financing, corporations, the political class. Joe Biden is a classic example of their influence peddling and money laundering. This is how they do it. Joe Biden's on the payroll of the Chinese Communist Party. His family, and particularly the guy that ought to be really looked at, that's not Hunter Biden. The guy we looked at is his brother James. His brother James Biden has sold access to Joe Biden. But the bottom line for people should be, how can you elect somebody who's lied to you with a straight face and happens to be a business partner of the existential threat to the United States of America and to the Chinese people? Yeah. Remember, other people should keep thinking, all this money came from the Chinese people. The Chinese people are treated as slave labor by the Chinese Communist Party. Lao Baijing, right. Old hundred names, the deplorables of China. That's their money. So don't tell me Joe Biden's nice Joe from Scranton, right? What he did is took the money of the Chinese people, was going to make tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars himself. That he could not get a security clearance today. The FBI people, Bernie Sanders ought to be outraged. By the way, if the FBI had come forward when they first had this hard drive back in November, December 2019, two things would have happened. President Trump would have never been impeached. The whole country and the political class could have focused on the CCP virus that came in January. He would have never been impeached. And Bernie Sanders would be the nominee in the Democratic Party. This is the second time the FBI has covered for the elite.
Welcome back. If you're part of the War Room Pandemic Posse, you hear that every day. Poor Maria Bartiromo had to step out of the way of the runaway train You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're on Real America Voice. It's Dish Channel 219. It's the streaming service for the Trump Revolution. It's also now on Chicago Channel 113 on Comcast out there. And, of course, on Newsmax TV in 70 million homes and in Mandarin on G News, GTV. This is why we're so big. I want to give a hat tip to everybody in Australia. That's what we started with, an Australian news anchor today. We know we got a big audience there. I want to thank everybody. Also, 16 million listeners on the 16 million downloads on the podcast. So we're ubiquitous everywhere. And you can also get us on a podcast later in the day. We're very fortunate today to have Fog City Midge, Maggie Vandenberg, with us, classing us up a little bit. She's in studio with Raheem and Jack down in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, on Capitol Hill. I'm here in Midtown Manhattan working on the hard drive. Been here for a couple weeks. Be here for a couple weeks more, maybe to Election Day or beyond. And we're going to have Cernovich on in the bottom of the hour. Mike Cernovich is going to come on with Fog City Midge. He's going to talk about social media, what's going on in the conservative movement, particularly the shutdown. I want to get back to the FBI in a second, but I want to continue this discussion. I'm confused, guys. Fog City Midge and Raheem, you're supposed to be the two living experts out there on this. What was the old policy and what's the new policy? Remember, Midge, the one thing I would question that you said in your great opening comments about this is insane, they're insane. I actually think they're logical. These oligarchs that really have taken the money of the deplorables, because it's deplorables pension fund money that really supports them and finances them, they've never wanted the voice of the deplorables in the conversation. And they've always made it very difficult. Cernovich said that, you guys, between artificial intelligence at Google and Facebook and Twitter, has ground the connectivity of the Trump movement online to dust, right? And now they're just sitting there dropping the hammer on you. So tell me what was the old policy? What's the new policy? Because I'm totally confused. I think the policy is basically they want to protect Joe Biden from any type of reality check. And now we know he's in business with the Chinese Communist Party. They don't want people to know that. They're putting all the stuff out there about Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani's taking more Russian misinformation. That's all nonsense. Rupert Murdoch and the guys around Rupert Murdoch are not idiots. Brent Baer, the 6 o'clock news anchor for Fox, note to self, you're owned by the same guy that owns the New York Post. And trust me, he's not going to have the New York Post be sued. And the New York Post is not going to get sued because the Biden campaign knows all of this stuff is real. Okay? It's off a hard drive. Raheem, Fog City Midge, Jack Maxey, where exactly are we? Because I'm now totally confused about where we are with the social media.
Well, Steve, I think one of the things we have to remember, when did all of this censorship start? It really started with this CCP virus and with the attempt of social media to pull the line of the FDA and the World Health Organization with hydroxychloroquine and all these things. Remember, it was in the spring when they started knocking out people for saying things about the disease, about the virus that they didn't like or didn't ascribe with what Fauci had said the other day. That's how they started. And now it's turning into a protection racket for the Democratic Party. All of these things are aligned because we know, Steve, that much of this misinformation but concerning the virus, the fear and the attempt to create this global fear concerning the virus came from disinformation campaigns directly out of China. So in a way, one could say that Twitter and Facebook are now doing the bidding, not just of the DNC and Joe Biden, but of the puppet masters in Beijing, who we know are going to be controlling the strings of Joe Biden should he get elected.
So guys, tell me, thanks. I totally agree with you. But I think it started before the pandemic. That's the only thing I would say. I think it started long before then. But here's what the audience got to understand. This is what we've been warning about is going to happen on Election Day. They're going to lead up to it. Now this is a preamble. The fight we have here is bloody Kansas to the Civil War. Okay? We need to shut this down now. We need to break the backs of the social media oligarchs. If you don't do it now over the issue of the Joe Biden expose in the New York Post about the Chinese Communist Party and they're being in business with it, if we don't do this now, if there's not stood up to, and Trump's Justice Department ought to be in federal court, I agree with Posobiec, that the Ronna McDaniel and the guys done such a great job with the RNC have to be in with an FEC suit today. Right, about payment in kind, contributions in kind. If you don't break the social media, if you just let them make up new rules, right, They're going to shut you down on Election Day, and Trump is impossible for Trump to win if social media's got the high ground. Milesguo told you it's the most powerful weapon that the Chinese Communist Party has. It's not nuclear weapons or even biological weapons or their huge military. It's social media. Fog City Midge, Raheem, make me feel better.
Well, I want to answer your question directly, Steve, about the rules changes. So yesterday evening, Vijaya Gad, who's the legal policy and trust and safety lead at Twitter, sent out a Twitter thread talking about the significant feedback that they've received over how they enforce their, quote, hacked materials policy. So let's accept their premise just for a moment that it pertains to the hacked materials policy. Here are the updates as Vijaya lays them out. Number one, Twitter will no longer remove hacked content unless it is directly shared by hackers or those acting in concert with them. So quite a vague rule there, because they could make the allegation that anybody is working in concert with any alleged hackers. And number two, they say they will label tweets to provide context instead of blocking links from being shared on Twitter. And Steve, while it's been a great shoulder to the wheel from the deplorables that has helped to kind of achieve a tiny rowback from Twitter, although I don't see this as a victory at all, there's also pressure coming from the left on this. And I want to read you just the conclusion of the Jacobin Mag hard left website, Jacobin Mag article on this subject yesterday. It says, quote, "The New York Post story is by no means the first instance of tech censorship, but it is the most aggressive so far and the most brazenly political. And unless we rein in the power of these tech giants, it's going to end up being something even worse, normal," end quote.
Steve, also, I want to put in
Yep.
Sohrab Ahmari, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong.
You're
I
right.
apologize. He's one of the editors for the op-ed page in the New York Post, and he wrote this on the 14th, and I think it is very clear. He says, "This is a big tech information coup. This is a digital civil war. I, an editor at the New York Post, one of the nation's largest papers by circulation, can't post one of our own stories that details corruption by a major party presidential candidate, Joe Biden."
Yeah.
If we're not in federal court with the Justice Department, if the RNC is not there, so he's absolutely correct. Well, by the way, he's one of the smartest conservative thinkers and writers in the country. The New York Post was founded by Alexander Hamilton. It's not only one of the nation's most important papers, it's one of the nation's oldest papers and largest circulation papers. Page 6 has been setting cultural standards for years, and their reporting is always excellent. And Rupert Murdoch owns it. Rupert Murdoch's got the toughest lawyers in the world. If you think Rupert Murdoch's going to open himself up to a lawsuit by the Bidens, hey, I dare the Bidens, go sue him. Because the countersuit's going to get full discovery on every email, every conversation you've ever had, not just what's on the hard drive. Okay? This is so obvious. And they allow Twitter and Facebook and Google to put up this nonsense and having they shut down the President of the United States. Heck with an editor at the New York Post, that's bad enough. They shut down the communications director of the White House, and nobody says anything. Yeah, there's some guys on conservatives. Oh, yeah, this is terrible. It's terrible. Direct action must be taken today by the Justice Department. There must be a major lawsuit filed in the FEC. All the collaboration between the Biden campaign and social media has to be exposed now. If it's not done now, there's zero chance Donald Trump will win on November 3rd because social media is just going to crush you.
Yeah.
So some people are quite notable by their silence on this, Steve. I mean, you'll remember a couple of months ago we broke the story of the conservative think tanks that were happy to take money from Google and other big tech firms to push the line. You know, that this is just what happens in a free market, that you can just be censored at the will of these people who benefit, by the way, from government regulation and legislation. So I think there's also got to be a lot of pressure put on these so-called conservative or libertarian think tanks out there, such as the Cato Institute and the Heritage Foundation and the American Enterprise Institute, to say, hey, okay, you had your happy time, you took your little checks, but this is crunch time, this is critical. You know, the deplorables have been supporting you for decades. The reason you got those big fancy buildings on Capitol Hill is because of the $5 and $10 checks that people have been sending in. So how about time for action from them too?
Okay, let's get hashtag War and Pandemic live stream. Want to hear all your comments. You got to pile in today. This is the future of the Republic. We're going to take a short commercial break. Be back with Mike Cernovich, Fog City Midge, Raheem Gassam, Jack Mack, Stephen K. Bannon, War Room Pandemic next.
If you're over 50, imagine you could turn back the clock on your stiff, achy joints 10, even 20 years. Imagine you could do this without products that just temporarily hide the symptoms and may have side effects. Imagine no more. Get your complimentary sample of Instaflex Advanced just by texting JOINT to 231231. Instaflex Advanced is different because it targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness. It doesn't just cover up symptoms. Instead, it bathes your joints in its unique combination of 5 key natural ingredients found in no other product. Key ingredients backed by 5 clinical studies. Instaflex Advanced is so powerful, you could have better knees in just 1 week. Maybe that's why it's #1 at GNC. But you can only get your complimentary sample by texting JOINT to 231231. Plus, text now and we'll include a tube of Instaflex pain cream with its exclusive oxygenated oil for fast-acting relief from the pain of arthritis, backaches, and sore muscles, absolutely free. Text JOINT to 231231.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept.
I really love the towels. They're really great. They're super absorbent. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now. The new MyPillow towels are exclusively made with 100% USA combed cotton with proprietary technology and with maximum absorbency. They dry you faster and are guaranteed to work. And listen to this. Use the promo code on your screen and Mike will include a second full towel set with bath towel, hand towel, and washcloth absolutely free. That's 2 MyPillow towel sets for the price of 1 in your choice of color.
I personally guarantee they're going to be the best towels you'll ever own.
Order now.
So, Frank, you're a big hurt. Why do you need Nugenics? After 40, a guy loses free testosterone. Even me. I couldn't stay in shape like I used to.
Frank. So does Nugenics really work?
Oh, yeah. My workouts are incredible now. I'm feeling stronger, more energetic, with a lot more drive.
Frank. So, say I knew someone who should try Nugenics. How does he do that?
It's easy. Just send a text to get a complimentary bottle.
Frank's right. Now you can claim a complimentary bottle of award-winning Nugenics by texting BUFF to 42424. Its unique formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help a man feel stronger, leaner, more energetic, and more passionate. Text BUFF to 42424 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenics Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of new Nugenics Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. That's BUFF to 42424.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
When billionaires shut down legitimate questions about a candidate 3 weeks before Election Day. That's corruption. It's also almost perfectly circular reasoning. And to illustrate that, Twitter and Facebook censored the New York Post story before they had any reason whatsoever to suspect it wasn't true. Even now, they're not really claiming it's a hoax because it's not a hoax. In minutes, they simply shut down this country's centuries-long tradition of a free press, and they did it for purely partisan reasons. They didn't pretend otherwise. Now, it doesn't matter who you plan to vote for the first Tuesday in November. You should be terrified. Democracies cannot exist and never will be able to exist without the free flow of information. That is a prerequisite. And without it, we're done. But companies like Facebook and Google and Twitter do not care because they don't believe in democracy. They worship power. And they don't need to be consistent. Melania Trump's private phone conversations, the president's stolen tax returns, they were happy to publish all of that. They didn't have a problem with hacking. But if you criticize the Democratic candidate, their candidate, you are banned. That's the standard they've set. How do we come back from this? Today you had elected Democrats, members of a party that in just the recent past claimed to revere free speech, cheering on censorship.
Yesterday we learned from newly released emails, and I want to thank the New York Post for showing real bravery, that Joe Biden has been blatantly lying about his involvement in his son's corrupt business dealings. Joe Biden is a corrupt politician, and he has been corrupt for many years, and everybody in Washington knew it.
The big tech oligarchs have declared war on the Republican Party and conservatives, and I promise them, those in Silicon Valley, winter is coming.
Winter is coming, and that's from Tom Cotton. Okay, it better come today. They better be in court today with FEC lawsuits, with violations. You got to get all the communications between the Biden campaign, the DNC, and the social media oligarchs. That I don't know why Barr is not, why the Justice Department's not in there right now suing. Our guest now is, we're bringing in Mike Cernovich. Nobody on the conservative movement knows social media better than Cernovich. He's got a radio show. He's a top blogger. He's a filmmaker. He's an agent provocateur. He joins us with Fog City Midge, who's in studio. Raheem Gassam, Jack Maxey, Warren Pandemic. We're distributed everywhere. Cable TV, live streaming, podcasts throughout the world, G News, GTV. Cernovich, put in perspective, when Tom Cotton says winter is coming, is that an empty bluff? You've been warning people about this since the spring of 2017 to say that Google, Twitter, and Facebook are going through using artificial intelligence and grinding up the online Trump movement. Where do we stand? Why did we wait so long to take this on? And what needs to be done to secure this election, or it's over?
Well, Tom Cotton will have as much clout as Raheem, Midge, and I do. Once the GOP loses the Senate, he can post tweets, and that's it. We're 3 weeks from an election, and now they're all big, tough guys. We got Jim Jordan, who of course, actually sold everybody out at the antitrust hearing. In a lot of ways that I explained, that memo, which was a lobbyist-funded talking point memo that Jordan's pushing out. They all go on Hannity. We're going to do things for 4 years. And you know, the war room rule is you can't whine, you can't complain. So in that spirit, I won't complain other than to say we just got our butts kicked. We lost, and it's time to regroup and figure out what's going to happen in 2022. Because of people like Tom Cotton, so tough that the Senate, they had a majority. The House had a majority for 2 years. They had a president in the White House who understood these issues. They had Scavino. They had you in the White House. Everybody knew they had the power. But what they want to do, they wanted to implement Paul Ryan's agenda. They wanted to scare old people into thinking that they're going to lose their health care and lose their Medicare. They wanted to make sick people think they were going to lose their health care. And then they wanted to get Van Jones to give him a little head pat. Oh, that was a nice thing. You're letting criminals out of jail. Great, great, great. That's what we're looking at. So all of the enthusiasm and pizzazz and verve that you had in 2016 is gone in 2020, but now they want to talk tough, but they can just be another Twitter person like me, because that's what's going to happen in November, because they chose to lose.
What could happen? What you're a lawyer too? I forgot. You're a very brilliant lawyer. What could actually happen today if we didn't want to have a catastrophe on the evening of November 3rd when they're not declaring Trump a winner, when they're not letting anybody communicate? What would you recommend? Put your legal hat on. What would you recommend that Barr, the Attorney General, and Ron McDaniel, the RNC, with their lawyers, what would you recommend happen this afternoon?
Well, the only thing you could do would be a dirty trick, and that's what I would do if I were Trump. I would just declare, for example, I would declare any social media company a terrorist organization if it allows the Iranian regime to have a Twitter account. I would just start saying this is the impermissible accounts and parties that can be on it. I would use the official power of the presidency to do that, to issue sanctions, and then I would just start smoking social media companies. You got 5 minutes to get this guy off. 5 minutes. Nope. Okay, we're sending DOJ right now to seize your servers. That's the only thing you can do. You got to smoke fools, basically. You have to really play to win. But, we're going to subpoena Jack Dorsey. So what? Jack Dorsey, they tried to get him at that last hearing that Bezos and everybody were at. He's just like, no, what are you going to do to me? Nothing. Oh, you're going to issue a subpoena. Okay, I'll come in. You're going to, say mean things to get your little viral social media clip. So what? Like, nobody's afraid of these people. That's the whole point. No one is afraid of these GOP senators. No one's afraid of Bill Barr. No one's afraid of Donald Trump. So they can issue their little saber rattling or whatever for the TVs. But unless you actually just say, okay, we're going to just say that the Iranian regime is barred from social media. And if Twitter doesn't get them off there, within 5 minutes, we're going to have DOJ seize the servers. That's the kind of thinking you have to do. And then once you do that, by the way, what are the tech companies going to do? They're going to be like, whoa, I didn't realize I was dealing with an insane person here. I didn't realize I was going to deal with somebody who actually has power, and they're just ready to smoke fools. So you saw this already where Twitter changed their rules because the FCC now is going to reinterpret maybe Section 230 in a different way. And then suddenly they're like, oh, we shouldn't have banned the URL. Maybe that was kind of a bad idea. You have to go nuclear, metaphorically, obviously. You have to go nuclear and just get the most vicious person you can, somebody like me in the room, and say, what can we do legally? Maybe it's not, quote unquote, clean looking, but is it legal? Yeah. What's the most brutal legal thing that we can do to these tech companies? And I think it would be saying that certain foreign governments are just simply not allowed to, that if they're on social media, that's a form of doing business with the tech companies, and therefore that's sanctionable illegal conduct.
Midge, is Cernovich right? Does Section 230 mean anything, or are they just playing patty cake with them? Guys, what's your response to Cernovich?
I mean, it seems like Twitter could care less about what the actual technical rules are, right? This new change in policy from Jack Dorsey, I mean, it's not even a change in policy. This is really just a PR move. We know where these tech companies stand. We know where Jack Dorsey stands. And I don't think that any change in policy is going to stop them from overstepping the mark. So we do need to take action. And I don't know legally what can be done, and I think this has been going on for a really long time. You know, it didn't just start with the censoring of the doctors. It started several years ago when they started deplatforming, demonetizing, shadow banning conservatives on social media and trying to suppress and silence our voice. And they know that the truth is coming out, and this is the only way that they can win, is to actually fully shut down these stories that call out Joe Biden, that expose him, that expose the swamp. So, you know, they're in overdrive right now to just try to shut us down any way they can. They have control of the media. Social media has been really our best bet of fighting back. And, they want to shut it down.
So, Raheem, is this saber rattling? Is 230? Is Cernovich right? You got to get somebody in there and go nuclear. That this 230 is just saber rattling?
Look, 230 protections are it's the thinnest end of this wedge, right? And it's an easy one. It should have been done years ago. Instead of the president sending out on May the 3rd, 2019, that he's continuing to monitor the censorship of American citizens on social media platforms, that's what they should have been doing back then. This isn't something that we should be looking at right now. Firstly, it's a long-winded legislative solution. It's not something that you can really get done without having control of the House either. So it's kind of pie in the sky on this. I agree with Mike. I think that you have to have a more of a roundabout way, or a backdoor way, or a kick in the backdoor way of getting to these guys. And there's plenty of ways to do it. You know, the Iran example and all of that is one. Obviously, you've got to start connecting the dots with the Chinese Communist Party. Look who Twitter just put on its board, somebody who worked for Google for a long time in establishing Google's office in China and worked hand in hand with the Chinese Communist Party while doing so. Let's see some real teeth here. Let's see some sanctions, and then let's see what these big corporates do when they finally realize that somebody's coming for them.
Cernovich, hang on, Jack Hammers. I only got a couple more minutes. Cernovich, Mike, is Donald Trump about to get mugged by reality here, social media reality, on election night?
Well, the good news is that these big tech companies have entire teams of PhDs to measure real sentiment, and they're what I'm doing. They're sprinting to the whistle. Right? When you do any kind of team sports, it's like you don't stop running until you hear the whistle, but you sprint through it. You sprint through the line. They know it's going to be close. So there's no model that can predict what's going to happen on election night, but we all know it's going to be close. And that's why the tech companies, they're not taking any chances. These Biden emails, for example, are damning. The Tucker section last night, my mouth was agape, and I'm a pretty cynical person. I'm very rarely surprised by stuff, but I didn't realize that Joe Biden, I knew he was kind of creepy and he did the touching and stuff, but I didn't know that he was that straight up just corrupt, like Hillary Clinton-esque corrupt. He's just not as smart as Hillary Clinton, so he didn't do it as well. That kind of information, if it were disseminated in an honest manner where people got to discuss it, that could cost them the election. The tech companies know it's going to be close, and that's why they're fighting. Now, I think who's going to be mugged by reality is going to be, here's kind of what I want to happen, even though it's a Pyrrhic victory. And you, Steve, as a general, will tell me this is folly of youth, or I guess I'm not that young anymore. But I want Trump to win, and I want the GOP to lose the Senate, because I want to end the whole Trump created a down ballot problem. Trump is outpolling McSally in Arizona. Trump is outpolling Lindsey Graham. Trump is outpolling these GOP establishment people who did nothing but sabotage the MAGA agenda, spit in the faces of the deplorable. So even though it would be bad in the short term for the GOP to lose the Senate, I would like to see Trump win the presidency, the GOP just lose a couple of seats, so that it's like, 51-49 with the Dems, or maybe even 50-50. And then in 2022, because that'll send the message. 2022, you're going to bring in real patriots. The GOP's done with the Lindsey Grahams, the Ben Sasses, the Mitt Romneys, the McSallys, and yada, yada, yada.
We got 30 seconds. Give us your solution. If you were in the Oval today with the president, what would you tell him has to be done?
Right now, ban China from social media, ban the Chinese government from social media, issue an executive order that declaring sanctions against the Chinese Communist government, and then give the tech companies 5 minutes to remove every account. And if they don't remove the account, say you're going to send the Department of Justice and FBI to seize all their servers and shut the companies down.
Brilliant. Mike Cernovich, thank you very much. Mike, we're going to get to all your social media. In fact, what's your Twitter handle?
At CERNOVICH.
And we'll get everybody to your website today. Filmmaker, lawyer, brilliant strategist, agent provocateur, Mike Cernovich. Thank you very much for joining us on War Room Pandemic today. Okay, hashtag War Room Pandemic. Want everybody in the live stream, want comments, observations, thoughts, want to hear what you got to say about Cernovich. This is the most important show in the world because it's played all over the world, including in mainland China. We're going to return in a moment. Jack Maxey, Raheem Kassam, Fog City Midge, to continue the conversation of is winter coming for social media, next on War Room Pandemic.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I guarantee you they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own.
With the Giza Dream Sheets, I'm getting the best sleep of my life. They are so soft and smooth. I never slept so good.
I fall asleep faster because I'm actually comfortable.
I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable, which is why I can give you my full 10-year warranty. But I didn't stop there. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. I guarantee you the first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now. MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors and will be the softest, most comfortable sheets you will ever own. Use the promo code and get 2 for 1 low price, plus free shipping. Giza Dreams are made with the finest, most sought-after cotton in the world. Giza cotton was once reserved for only the finest dress shirts, but is now available in Mike's Giza Dream Sheets. They feature a beautiful silky sateen weave that helps keep you cool and comfortable all night long.
With the Giza Dream Sheets, I'm getting the best rest of my life.
I love my Giza Dream Sheets. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Use the promo code and Mike will give you a very special 2 for 1 low price and free shipping. That's right, get 2 for 1 low price and free shipping. Call or go online now.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
So, Frank, you're the big hurt. Why do you need Nugenics? After 40, a guy loses free testosterone. Even me. I couldn't stay in shape like I used to.
Frank! So does Nugenics really work?
Oh, yeah. My workouts are incredible now. I'm feeling stronger, more energetic, with a lot more drive.
Frank. So, say I knew someone who should try Nugenics. How does he do that?
It's easy. Just send a text to get a complimentary bottle.
Frank's right. Now you can claim a complimentary bottle of award-winning Nugenix by texting BUFF to 42424. Its unique formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help a man feel stronger, leaner, more energetic, and more passionate. Text BUFF to 42424 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of new Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. That's BUFF to 42424.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
It is this theory that Democrats are a satanic pedophile ring and that you are the savior of that.
Sadly, today we have highly partisan and dysfunctional governance, and I believe President Trump is primarily responsible for creating this toxic environment. As president, how will you avoid the temptation to exact revenge and instead take the high road and attempt to restore bipartisanship, civility, and honor to our democracy?
If you knew COVID-19, as you told Bob Woodward in February,
As what?
as you told Bob Woodward in February, was airborne and deadlier than the flu, why did you only put in place a travel ban from China and not put in place other measures mitigating the spread of COVID-19, potentially saving tens of thousands of American lives?
Peace is breaking out all over the world. Our troops are coming home. Serbia is talking to Kosovo, and the Arabs and Israelis are talking peace, which I believe is a modern-day miracle, what's going on. Does President Trump's foreign policy deserve some credit?
Good evening, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
I have to say, you have a great smile.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, he does. You're so handsome when you smile. Okay.
Mika
There was a lot happening.
Willie, Mika was so...
Joe was watching baseball.
He was watching Mika was so triggered. So triggered, I said, I'm going upstairs.
No.
That was my fault. I wanted that supercut to be all the tough questions asked of President Trump and all the easy softball questions asked of Biden. Our team tried to pull together the last second. Good job for the team, but we missed it. Here's what I want to say about the town halls last night. Number one, whoever in the campaign absolutely blew the fact that we should have had this thing digitally is it just drove me nuts last night to let Joe Biden off the hook. And you saw, I didn't think President Trump got asked any unfair questions. I thought they were tough questions. I thought some he could have answered a little better than others, but I thought he was on for most of the questions. These were tough questions. I didn't have a problem with Samantha Guthrie in her follow-up. I thought that was all fair. But Joe Biden, I mean, this thing was a picnic. He got tossed up nothing but softballs, right, by an adoring audience. And George Stephanopoulos looked like he was going to have a fanboy. I thought he was going to put the autograph book out later and say, can you sign my book? I mean, this is absurd. This was a total free pass. I want to go to Jack Maxey, Fog City Midge, and Raheem Kassam back in the studio. What do you got, guys?
Well, I want to go back to what Cernovich said. I actually very much agree with him that they've got to make a power move here against Facebook, Twitter, the Silicon Valley power companies. I don't look forward, though, to us losing the Senate or losing any Senate seats. And you know how much I dislike particularly one of those senators who's in a little bit of trouble. But I think that we have a moment, an inflection moment here right now where the world is waking up. We're seeing people as diverse as Ice Cube and others starting to question the role of the Democratic Party in public life here in America. I say we go all in. I want our audience to think about taking back the House. I want to take back every down market seat that we can. This is war, people. This is basically the dawn of the Civil War. And look what the Democrats do. We have history as an example. When they don't get their way, they go to the streets. It's happened before. We can change that by winning this election and taking away all their power, America.
I agree with that. And, you know, it's when Democrats can't win by the rules, they change the rules, which is what we see happening on social media and happening out in the streets and happening with policy. So what gets me, though, about this whole town hall last night is that they canceled it to not have an in-person debate, but yet both of the candidates met and had an in-person town hall. I don't understand the logic here. We should have just had the debate. It's pretty remarkable. But what I saw last night was Trump did not get nearly enough time to engage with the voters and to answer their questions. But when he did, he delivered, and he delivered big time. It's crazy that they kept bringing up the white supremacy. But one other thing that I really noticed as a filmmaker, and I posted this online, and a lot of other people jumped in and sort of affirmed what I was seeing. But when I was flipping back and forth between ABC and NBC, one thing that really stood out to me was the quality in audio between President Trump and Joe Biden. And I've noticed this a number of times where they have, I believe that they are deliberately sabotaging President Trump's audio to make him sound less appealing, to make him come across as more abrasive, just to not sound as good. And I don't know.
What do you mean? What do you mean sabotaging audio?
Because if you actually listen to the audio quality of both of them, it's incredibly bad. I know this sounds crazy, but if you go back and you watch both of them, they're completely different. And
God, I hope okay. Now he's going to watch the show tonight. He always religiously watches the first hour. He broke me in Hofstra in the first debate because of the mic. Now I got my guest host, my in-studio host, is going to put the mic thing in his head. He'll be tomorrow on Saturday after he watches tonight. It'll all be the mic. Thank you, Midge.
I hope people question this, though. I wanted to ask Cernovich about it as well, because as a filmmaker, I've had many other audio people reach out to me and say that they believe the same thing is happening.
I just want you to know that the live stream is in complete agreement with you.
Wasn't he just outside, though, and Biden was inside? Didn't they have, like...
But they weren't taking the audio from the lavalier. Like, it was basically room tone, so you had this echo happening between multiple different people. And I'm not an audio engineer, but it's something that if I hired the people that do it, I would have been upset
Midge,
about.
What's so amazing is that in Hofstra, when he just went nuts on the mic, it turned out that 3 weeks later, the commission put out an email that said, hey, there was a problem with the mic. And Trump never let us forget it after that. So I know tonight he hasn't tweeted anything about the mic.
Hold on. Sure. Wait a minute. Yeah. Steve, we're going to make
sure.
That just means that the advanced team are not testing the audio properly. That's all that means.
No. You don't remember. He did not want to show up early. We didn't do a walkthrough. He didn't want to do a walkthrough. He says, "I'm not doing a walkthrough."
But whose fault's that? That's not the audio engineer's problem. It's your guys' problem. What's one thing I know we're short on time here, Steve?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I just want to make mention. I agree with you in the sense that I didn't like Savannah Guthrie and her tone, but I mean it's totally fair for her to get up there and debate the president. She's got that opportunity. She's going to take it, right? The difference was between how George Stephanopoulos acted and how Savannah Guthrie acted on the stages, and the distinction was Joe Biden got 73% of questions from Democrats, and Trump only got 20% of questions from Republicans. That's the difference last night.
Okay, Ralph Reed is next. We're going to return with War and Pandemic. You got Ralph Reed, Faith and Freedom, talking about the ground game throughout the nation to get voters out. We'll be back.
Because you're too hot or too cold? Now you can get the total body support you need and the better sleep you want with the new MyPillow mattress topper.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. When I invented my new MyPillow mattress topper, I made it to have everything you'd ever want in a topper. My mattress topper helps give you the support you need, helps relieve your pressure points, and regulates your body temperature for you as an individual. It comes with a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry the cover. It's made in the USA, and I back it with my 60-day money-back guarantee.
Go to MyPillow.com or call now to get your very own MyPillow mattress topper. Use the promo code, and Mike will give you 30% off and 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free. Order now.
MyPillow topper delivers on its promise to give me a better night's sleep.
I can sleep all night through, and it's a miracle for me.
Mike's exclusive 3-layer design starts with a layer of MyPillow foam, providing you superior support and comfort. The second layer of transitional foam evenly distributes body weight and helps relieve uncomfortable pressure points for optimal comfort. Mike's Ultra Soft Outer Layer is a patented temperature-regulating cover that helps keep you at your ideal sleeping temperature all night long. Unlike other sleep systems costing thousands, the MyPillow mattress topper takes comfort to a whole new level without any wires, remotes, or moving parts. Call now or go to MyPillow.com to order your MyPillow topper. Use the promo code to save 30%. When you do, Mike will give you 2 of his standard MyPillows absolutely free. That's right, 2 standard MyPillows free and 30% off your MyPillow topper today. Order now.
I personally guarantee it's going to change your bed into the most comfortable bed you'll ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.